have y'all right here, y'all up close. Gerald, Eric, y'all want to get close a little bit? And can the person go live?
Yes, she's doing it now.
Okay.
She's getting it.
Let's tell her to come up front. You know, we may want you, well, they can see the NAACP shirt. That's good. Where's the person at?
She's over there.
Tell her to step up front, because more people are going to see it online. Get right there. Tell her to get right there.
Give me just a second.
Okay, because more people are going to see it on social media around the country than it is.
Yeah, that's true.
I didn't learn, boy. I don't know who these 2 million people that probably.
Yeah, he's right here. He's
Okay.
live streaming
They
as
need
well.
you to turn your live on.
Okay. Now they asked me to do something I don't know how to do. How you turn and tell them, I know at the end, don't turn it off. Okay, and then they just hit the red button.
There you go.
Okay. And tell her to come right there in between. She can stand in between those cameras.
But not right. Yeah, right there. Back up a little bit.
Back up between the cameras. We're
Right
making
there.
sure they, yes ma'am, some people have asked us to go live, so, okay. Is everyone ready? Okay. And when y'all talk, try to talk as loud as you can. Good morning. I'm attorney Ben Crump, and along with attorney Eric Hertz and attorney Jeff Goetz, we have the pleasure of representing the family of Brianna Grier. We have present here with us her mother, Mary, her father, Marvin, and her sister, Lottie Grier. With us in spirit are her 3-year-old twin daughters, who continue to ask every day, where is their mother? What happened to our mother? And that's what we're here primarily for, is to get answers and demand justice. We are so very fortunate and honored to have the Georgia State President of the NAACP, Attorney Gerald Griggs, and many of the leaders of Georgia NAACP standing in pursuit of justice with the family of Brianna Grier. And so what this is really about is those 3-year-old little babies, Maria and Mariah, who's gonna have to grow up without their mother. And it makes no sense when you think about it. Yet again, we have another African-American citizen killed in just an unbelievable way while in the custody of the police. And it's not lost on anybody that Brianna Grier would be compared a lot to Breonna Taylor. This is Georgia's Brianna. And the whole world is going to be watching, because nobody believes what the sheriff's department is saying. It doesn't add up that they said she was having a mental health crisis. Her mother called them. Gerald, this isn't the first time that she had a mental health crisis. In fact, she's had police calls several times. And normally, the ambulance would come and they would treat it as a mental health issue, because that's what it was. It was not a criminal matter. But this time, they only called the police. And the police didn't bring the ambulance with them, even though Miss Mary clearly stated she was having an episode. And so they came and they put her in handcuffs. They put her in the back of the police car. They closed the doors. And then they proceeded to take her to jail for resisting, which is a whole nother story. A person, you're coming for having a mental health crisis and you say, we're gonna arrest them for resisting. Well, a person having a mental health crisis, you can't hold them accountable for their actions when they're having a mental health crisis, and it's a documented history of mental health. In fact, you know about it because several times you came to get Brianna. And so they put her in the back of the car and en route to the county jail. They allege that this black woman who is not very heavy somehow manages to get out the back of a police car with handcuffs on. You know, you're gonna hear Attorney Hertz talk about these police cars, and you don't need a highly intelligent Georgia lawyer to tell you that. Everybody know if you're in the back of a police car, it's not supposed to be able to be released from inside.
Right.
You can only be released from somebody opening the outside of the door. But they claim she somehow managed with handcuffs to open up the back seat of the police car, fall out the car, crack her skull, and she went into a coma for 6 days. How many days? And then she died. And it's still very painful and raw for the Grier family. They haven't even got her body back yet from the Georgia Bureau of Investigations to be able to see her. It's so painful because they keep asking the questions what happened because they want to be able to tell their granddaughters and their niece, Maria and Mariah, what happened to their mother. And shame on us if we don't get answers for those babies, and even worse, if we don't get justice for those babies.
Yes, God.
It seems to be because this was a mentally ill black woman in Hancock, Georgia, that somehow she's irrelevant, that you can just sweep her death under the rug. Well, Miss Mary, Mr. Marvin, we won't let them sweep your baby daughter death under the rug. We and the NAACP and National Action Network and Until Freedom, people all over the country are saying we're going to make them say Brianna's name again. And this time they're going to say Brianna Grier, because we're going to get justice for Brianna Grier.
Amen.
We are going to get justice for Brianna Grier.
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 And we invite you to look at the pictures that we share with the media, and you'll see her. I just don't understand it, President Griggs, why they couldn't have put her in a seatbelt, why they violated so many policies to prevent anything like this from happening. And if we learned anything at all, anything from what many call the criminal trial thus far of this century with the police officers who killed George Floyd, Attorney Hertz, we learned that when they're in your custody, they're in your care.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Where Hancock County Sheriff's Department, Brianna was in your custody. Mr. Grier never would have let you take his baby daughter if he thought you weren't going to protect her?
Amen. Amen.
In your custody means in your care. That means she's not supposed to be harmed, and she's definitely not supposed to be killed in this unnecessary way. I mean, this is such an unnecessary death. I mean, just because you're black and having a mental health crisis, that should not equate to a death sentence.
Amen.
And that's what it did. And Attorney Hertz and President Griggs, we just, I mean, the civil rights violations just fly out at you when you think about all the things they did wrong here. And you say, we can't let them continue to violate mental health individuals' civil rights. And we know we can't let them continue to violate the civil rights of black women, because as Malcolm X said almost 50 years ago, and a lot of people, when they think about the other Brianna not getting any form of a measure of justice in the criminal arena, continue to believe, President Griggs, what Malcolm said still rings true in America today, that the black woman is the most unprotected, the most neglected, and the most disrespected person in America. Well, Hancock County, we're not going to let you disrespect her. We're not going to let you neglect her. We're going to make sure you know the name of Brianna Griggs, because everybody in America is going to be saying, say her name.
Brianna Grier.
Say her name.
Brianna Grier.
Say her name.
Brianna Grier.
Now you will hear from my most able co-counsel, a great lawyer here in Georgia. There's cases all over the state to give people a voice who have no voice. And that's going to be Attorney Eric Hertz. And then we're going to hear from our state civil rights leader in Georgia, President Gerald Griggs. And then I will introduce the family to you. But right now, Attorney Eric Hertz.
Thank you, Mr. Crump. As Mr. Crump said, we're seeking justice here, and justice begins with the transparency from the law enforcement. We have sent letters to the Hancock and GBI, and we're trying to get information. Why has not the body cams been released already?
Right.
Why have we not got the police reports that the news has gotten? These are the questions we ask. Among other things, we want to know, why has it not been discussed that the sheriff of Hancock County's brother, who's also a deputy sheriff, was on the scene? These are some of the questions we want to know. There's an old saying that law enforcement that investigates law enforcement has a tendency for bias. So when Hancock County investigates their own self, including their brother, there's a tendency for bias. We want transparency, we want the truth, and that's why we're here.
Amen.
Amen.
I am proud to be able to represent this family in Brianna's name. I am so proud to be able to work with Ben Crump, and I just want to thank everyone for coming here today, and God bless the family.
Thank you so much, Attorney Hurt. And a man who needs no introduction from you all here in Georgia, but since America is watching, I think it bears that we give him his proper introduction. One of our young stalwarts in the civil rights community, not just a lawyer, but a person who is truly a leader in the communities all throughout the state of Georgia. And Attorney Griggs did not hesitate when we start to talk about Brianna Griggs. He said, I'm sorry, Grier, forgive me. This is Griggs. Brianna Grier, President Griggs said, you know, if the family wants us to do a direct appeal on their behalf, we are going to do it wholeheartedly. And so I'm so grateful to you, President Griggs, for answering the bail on behalf of Brianna Grier.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Attorney Crump. Thank you to the family. Thank you to the entire NAACP for responding. And Georgia, we have a problem. Yes. We've been saying this for a while in Georgia, that Georgia has a police accountability and a police brutality problem. Yes. And you know, as I was up in Atlantic City a week and a half ago at the national convention, we were talking about these type of issues. Yep. And I was hopeful that when I got back to Georgia, we could at least have a break. But before I got back to Georgia, my phone dinged. And I saw a case in the Savannah News. And then I saw it on the Daily Beast. Then I saw it all over social media. And I thought to myself, well, we got to get back to Georgia. And so I received a call from President Warren of the Hancock County branch. I received a call from District Coordinator Edwards. I received a call from Member at Large Lockie. And I received a call from 3rd Vice President Gwen Westbrooks. And I thought to myself, well, I got to talk to the preeminent civil rights lawyer in this country, because I knew he would be somewhere. That's right. And then I got the call from Ben Crump. And I thought to myself, well, we've done this once before, we will do it again. Okay. So in the spirit of Ahmad, we are going to push for justice for Brianna Grier.
Justice for Brianna Grier. Yeah.
So to the Hancock County Sheriff, it's time to be transparent. It's time to be accountable.
My leader.
To the GBI, it's time for y'all to meet with this family. To the governor, it's time for you to recognize again that Georgia has a police accountability problem.
That's
right. Tell it.
You need to get off television and come work with this family.
Amen.
Because Georgians of all color deserve to feel protected in the custody and control of law enforcement.
Yeah.
Because when we get into this conversation about Blue Lives Matter and about Black Lives Matter, and what really matters is justice matters.
Amen.
And in this state, we know how to deliver justice.
Yes, we do.
So it's time for all Georgians of good conscience to start asking the difficult questions. Why does it seem like unarmed African Americans die at a disproportionate rate under the custody and control of law enforcement?
Yeah. Tell it, President.
We have to address this.
Yes, sir.
It's 2022. All 2020, we said after George, things would change. Well, nothing has changed.
That's right.
Yeah.
And you best believe that Black Georgians, all 3.3 million of them, want something to change.
Amen.
And so we, as the oldest civil rights organization in this state and in this nation, are sending a clarion call. We got it from President Johnson, we're done dying.
Yeah.
We are done dying. And if you don't believe us, you will find out in November that this is power.
Amen.
But first and foremost, we want to say to this family, we are behind you. The entire state conference is behind you. President Marion Warren is here. Mr. President.
Great job.
President Richard Rose is here from the Atlanta chapter. Members of the state executive board are here. And we will stay in partnership for you guys, whatever you ask us to do. What we are demanding from the sheriff currently is full transparency. All the police reports, all the body cam, all the names of the officers involved, full transparency. To the GBI, no more preliminary reports.
That's right.
We want a full report of what happened and the release of all body-worn cameras. It's mandated in Georgia that you have body cams. So release them to the people for transparency, for the sake of this family getting answers, for the sake of those children that now have to grow up without a mother.
Yes.
It's time for transparency.
Yes.
And trust and believe.
Yes.
If we don't get transparency and we don't get accountability, you won't get any rest. Because no justice,
No peace.
no justice,
No peace.
no justice,
No peace.
So again, on behalf of the state conference, on behalf of the NAACP, we are with you,
Yes,
and
sir.
we will fight until you get the justice you demand. Thank you.
My lady. Thank you, President. Thank you so much, President Griggs. And it's so important that we say no preliminary reports that try to assassinate the character of Brianna Grier after they made sure that she was killed personally. And that is the pattern. Over and over again, they assassinate the unarmed black citizen, and then they try to assassinate their character. So they say, well, Brianna isn't worthy of your consideration. She's not worthy of the benefit of the doubt. She's not worthy of humanity. So why do we even care about her? We care about her because she did have humanity in her.
Right.
She was a child of God. She was the child to Mary, the child to Marvin, the sister of Lottie, and the mother of those 3-year-old twins, Maria and Mariah. And so, Georgia Bureau of Investigations, her life matters, and it matters so much that you give us a full report, full transparency, because we are going to demand full accountability, and we're going to demand justice for Brianna. Justice for Brianna Grier.
Justice for Brianna Grier.
And since they trying to assassinate her character, we think it's important, Attorney Hertz, that we have you hear from the people who knew her best, the people who were most appropriate to give their sister and their daughter a voice, because she can no longer speak for herself. They're her voice. And we want to amplify that voice. We know a lot of you watching out across America, we're singing to the choir, but the choir got to sing louder because they got to know that Brianna Grier life mattered. And now you're going to hear from Lottie Grier, her sister, who's going to talk to you and tell you who her baby sister was. Lottie, yeah.
My name is Lottie Grier, and Brianna Grier was my baby sister. She was very loving, very caring. Anybody need anything, she'll give it to them. One of my biggest concerns is that my nieces will grow up without their mother. There are only 3 that don't understand right now, but you know, as they get older, they're gonna ask. And we're gonna eventually have to tell them, you know, what happened. And she can't help she suffered with schizophrenia. That's a mental disorder. She couldn't help it.
Amen.
And we just want justice for Brianna.
Yeah. Justice for Brianna Grier. Justice for Brianna Grier.
Justice for Brianna Grier.
And next, you will hear from Brianna's father, Marvin Grier, who obviously is very upset, very angry, because I'm a father of a beautiful black daughter as well, and we know our number one role is to try to protect our children. And there's always a strong bond between a father and a daughter. And so it may get a little emotional because he is so emotional. You would be too about the loss of your child. And so he's gonna speak to you from the heart about who Brianna was and what they want as a family and what we want as a community. Y'all, please understand that this is difficult for them. For Attorney Hertz and President Griggs, we are used to doing this, but they are not.
That's right.
They did not ask to have to be here fighting for their daughter being taken from this earth in such an unnecessary way. And so, Mr. Marvin Grier.
Hello, my name is Marvin Grier, and my daughter's named Brianna Grier. And she was, like my daughter said, she was a loving, caring mom and daughter. She would get the clothes off her back. No matter what you needed, if she could help you, she'll do it. But when she had her episode we tried to get her help. And when they used to come out to the house, they called the ambulance service. And the ambulance service come out and they would take her to the hospital and then to get some help. But this time they didn't do it. They wanted to take her to the police for intoxication. And she was right there on our property. But she know the law. She said, y'all can't take me to jail because I haven't did anything. I haven't did anything.
Yes, sir.
But they handcuffed her and they put her in the car. We need help for her mental schizophrenia. But she didn't make it to the hospital. She didn't make it distant from our house. 6 o'clock that morning, we found out she had head wound, transported to Atlanta Hospital. Who would like to have their daughter or son or anyone come back later on, somebody telling you they hurt, then later on they die? Nobody. What we trying to do, we trying to get answers of what really happened. That's all we want to know.
What really
we ain't
happened?
trying to start no problem, but we gonna start a problem because we want to know what happened. We want to know what happened.
What happened to
That was my child. That was my child regardless. That was my child. That was my child. And if nobody don't realize what I'm going through or what we going through, I feel sorry for y'all because we love her regardless, unconditionally.
Yeah.
Now we got to raise these kids and tell them a story, and I'm not planning on telling them no lie.
The police.
I want to tell them the truth. So it won't happen to nobody else.
Amen. Amen, Mr. Grier. Amen, Mr. Grier. Amen, Mr. Grier. We won't tell them no lie. We're going to let them know the truth that the police killed her while in their custody. They're going to try to make all kinds of excuses to this family to justify the unjustifiable death of Brianna Grier in her custody. You know, how is it that you're in the back of a police car in handcuffs and they say you fall out? Somebody had to do something wrong. And we're going to get to the bottom of it. And we're not going to try to let them just wash their hands of Brianna, because Hancock County Sheriff's Department, the blood of Brianna Grier is on your hands. And you won't be able to wash it away until we get truth, transparency, accountability, and justice for Brianna Grier. And so the final person who will address you, and this is very, very difficult for her, is Brianna's mother, Mary. And it's so unnatural what they're having to deal with, trying to get the body back from the department so they can then have a second independent autopsy. Because we're not going to accept what the police or the GBI, who, you know, is an extension. They work with the police a lot more than they work with black families. And so we're going to get an independent autopsy to tell us exactly what happened. Mr. Grier, what did you say? It seemed odd that they said she didn't have bruises or abrasions and so forth, only the head injuries. And he's like, well, if you in the back of the car trying to get out, seem like you should have other injuries showing. And so it's not adding up to the Grier family.
Amen.
And as Lottie said, the girls, you know, think about if you have children, you have a 2-year-old or 3-year-old, and they're used to having their mother tuck them in, having their mother wash them and dress them. And even though grandma and grandpa are fine, auntie is fine, but they're saying, where's mama? Where's mama?
Yes.
And they don't have any good answer when they ask what happened to mama. And so we have to help them answer this question and get to the truth. And so Miss Mary, who, like Mr. Marvin, is raising the grandbabies now for the last, I guess, 2 weeks since July 15th, have been trying to struggle to answer the questions.
That's right.
Where's our mama? What happened to our mama? And so she, probably more than anybody else, can tell you about who her daughter was and how difficult this is for their family. Miss Mary Grier. Take your time, Miss Mary.
My name is Mary Grier. And my baby, Brianna Grier, was tragically and brutally killed. And no other way to put it.
No other way.
Brianna was a loving young lady. She had her ways just like the rest of us. But she was kind, and whatever she can do for you, if she can do it, she would do it. And she always come up to me when she come to visit and give me a hug and a kiss with wide arms. My baby loved me, and I most certainly love my baby. Brianna Marie Grier. And now, her children, Maria and Mariah Grier, they will know about their mother.
Amen.
And in due time, they'll learn what happened to their mother. I love Brianna, and I know Brianna loves me. And I'm going to do whatever I can to bring justice to her wrongdoing.
Amen.
Justice for Brianna Grier.
Justice for Brianna Grier.
Got anything else to say?
Yeah.
It's hard to
You can
carry
talk.
that
Take your
baby.
time.
Jesus. My baby
Supposed to bury you.
is not.
This is extremely difficult. Miss Mary, we won't have you have to talk. She was going to tell you all about the 911 call, and obviously they regret ever calling 911 now because they thought the police was going to care for her, not kill her, and you can imagine how this is tearing them up inside. Mr. Grier said, President Griggs, had he known they weren't going to protect his daughter, he never would have called them. He never would have called them. They thought she was going to get some medical help, not be treated like a rag doll. Yeah.
What happened to serve and protect? Yeah. Protect and serve.
So, Miss Mary, I know it's hard. We won't talk about the 911 call now. We'll talk about it later. At this time, we'll take your questions, a few of your questions. Eric, you want to come up closer? And Gerald, yeah.
The GBI says that after their preliminary report that the door was never closed and she was never buckled in. What is your reaction specifically to those two things?
Well, you know, it's very interesting because the family and the community believe GBI tries to help law enforcement with their narrative. And that's fine if they are going to give us the truth. But we want the truth. Isn't it odd that for all of us, if we get in the car and the door isn't closed, we will see a light, we'll hear a sound. Well, you would know it.
With noise.
Yeah, with noise. So why is it that these police officers, if the doors were not closed, wouldn't have heard some alert, something to tell them that the door wasn't properly closed? And so we want to see all the video, we want to see all the body cameras, because if that's the case, then they still failed Brianna because they should have made sure she was secure. But that's a different story than what we heard from the beginning, because the story from the beginning was that she was in the back seat of the car, the doors had been closed, and that she somehow, like Houdini, figured out in handcuffs how to open the door and fall out the car. And so we want the truth and nothing but the truth. Don't give us, as Griggs said, these preliminary reports that I think Attorney Hurst, the preliminary report was 90 pages, but it was mostly about an attack on Brianna.
It was assassination.
It was an assassination of her character. So, GBI, how do you expect to build trust with this family and trust with the community if all you're trying to do is to assassinate the character of a mentally ill black woman? Because we know who she was. We don't need you to try to tell us who Brianna was. We won't let the police define who she was. We would define who she was, and we would define the legacy of Brianna Grier.
Come on, Crump.
Yes, ma'am. Any other questions?
Another thing from that report you mentioned, it details other incidents clearly known to local police. Had your family ever reached out to 911 during one of these crises before?
We'll call all the time, 911. We call 911 every time, and the police come out. But they come out and they call EMS, or EMS come out with them. But this time, no.
Why do you think that is?
We don't know. That's what we're trying to find out.
We want answers.
That's why we're here, to find out.
You can best believe if Mr. Grier thought they were going to treat his daughter like a criminal,
We would have never called her.
they never would have called 911.
I would have dealt with the situation at home with her. It would have been hard, but I would have dealt with it, and she would have been alive. She wouldn't be dead.
She would have been alive.
What else do you want people to know about your daughter?
She was a loving, caring mother. That's it. Nothing else.
And she loved her children.
And that's right, she loved her children.
And you know, it seems to be if our people, if our loved ones aren't perfect, they start to say, oh, well, they don't deserve the benefit of your consideration. They don't deserve the benefit of humanity. No, your children aren't perfect, and you don't hold them to that standard. So why are you gonna try to hold our children to the standard that they gotta be perfect to get justice? Right. No, Brianna Grier, life matters. We're gonna get justice for Brianna Grier.
Justice for Brianna Grier. Justice for
Brianna Grier.
Any other questions? If there are none, we will give you an update when we get Brianna's body back, and hopefully we will get her body back to her mother and father very soon, so they can begin the process of giving her a respectable homegoing service, one that will include dignity, respect, and humanity that was not given to her by the Sheriff's Department. Thank you all. Thank you, President Griggs. Thank you. Man, you said a mouthful.
Mr. Crump, as always,
Hey, man.
you're doing a good job. I appreciate
Hey,
it.
we all in this together, man.
My God. We do have a problem with mishandling mental health beings here in Georgia. We had an incident with a young lady by the name of Ashley Cooley. She was going through a mental health crisis. She was laying on the ground and